You know what's crazy? This is good, bro. This is good. But why not put this energy into a job or something? Like,
I recognize, maybe too much to my detriment, that when we as content creators make things, we have to understand every facet of what we're putting out there. I think our art as video essayists, as people who can edit videos, who make video type mediums, who make voice podcast type mediums, all that shit, I think that a lot of us play around with the idea that what we make stands for more than what it's worth. I'm gonna extrapolate that, but I kind of just want that to stick in your head as like the last little nugget of, this is point one, right? I recognize that the larger I get, there's more of a chance that I will interact with and or be found by people with nefarious goals, end games, agendas, whatever. Some people really do exist in certain spaces as the troublemaker, as the, oh God, here comes that dude. And they do have fame. I think that what YouTubers kind of miss, and I say YouTubers specifically here in this example because it's going to extend a lot further to Twitch streamers in a second. I feel like YouTubers get lost in the idea of them putting their own videos up and getting caught in the ecosphere of their own conversations. I don't think we recognize communities for what they are. And I'm trying to stress that, like, you might have an idea, but based on what I've seen go down in every single facet of like popularity on YouTube, sans like the good old few. I don't know what I just knocked down, but whatever it was, I hope it wasn't important. Maybe I just hit something. I don't know. I'm losing it. Anyway, I function and dare myself sometimes to analyze the patterns of behavior that certain people show when pushed into a certain type of situation. An accusation is one thing. Misreading somebody's video and making a reaction to it to call them a certain name, call them dumb, call them stupid, unintelligent, blah, blah, blah. That's another thing. Dehumanizing and degrading other people for the sake of your own content is another thing. And we recently saw this with iDubbbz. Now, I'm not here to pull this thread on the iDubbbz thing. I've already written a letter to him. Hopefully he ever see that, because this plays into what I was talking about in that video. I think that a lot of us recognize what communities are, but we are detached from them because we don't have to face them every day. That's the YouTuber side. You don't have to reckon with the idea of just anything other than, yo, I watch your videos all the time. The conversations are blended within a certain roadmap of your popularity supersedes how you're feeling that day. And I know you felt that because you talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. I think that our responsibility then as YouTubers goes a little bit further than what we consider, and it's really, we understand there's ad money, we understand there's, the algorithm, this and that, everything. Like, I'm talking about just us as core people. Nobody makes us do anything. Nobody makes us address certain things in a certain way. There's always, especially for YouTubers, there's always time to be patient because you got to edit a response. We're going to talk, like, Colleen, I'ma sing a song. You definitely prepped that. You definitely had the lyrics down somewhere. You definitely had a chord progression that you stole from an old song. So it's like, when you put a video out, that context should be a standard for how you think people are going to extrapolate meaning from your work. And that context, I think, is super brittly missing from a lot of conversations that you think you're having. It puts you in the position where you feel like you're so indebted to knowing like the truth about, or getting down to the bottom of what a person thinks, and in response you're kind of melding into their world by even paying attention to them. You're falling for not a trick. It's like it's natural, but it's only natural in like group settings for this kind of homogenous conversational ability to happen. High school. I could really go down that rabbit hole and say I think a lot of people haven't matured from high school and now they're being put in positions much larger, and we're watching the exposure difference where people say, oh, this generation is da-da-da, this and that, and it's like, yes, because they listen to people who haven't had the maturity to be put in a situation like that when it's only them and they bros, when it's only them and the girls, when they've only been in like forced situations. You know, oh, I went to school, oh, I dropped out, this and that. Like, the road that you carve creates development, and we can't ascertain a certain level of meritocracy to certain people just because they happen to be popular and or make money off the internet, off of streaming, off of YouTube, because their personalities, their persons are still developing. And we got to remember what stardom does to children, let alone imagine getting out of imagine being in school and being one of the most poppin' YouTubers on the internet that day. Imagine. But we keep trying to dilute all, like, this is its own conversation. You see what I mean? These are the conversations that we could be having. We can create that for ourselves purely just from thinking about it for 20 seconds. And I don't think that this comes from a place of criticism. It comes from a lack of me not understanding why the conversations never drive themselves that way. Is it too much personal? Have you gotten too big to like be malleable? It questions, or it calls into question for me, what type of people do we have in those circles that have that type of mainframe of thought when approaching certain situations? Because if it was real, we would have got better apologies out of a lot of people. If it was real, they wouldn't have needed to apologize. Why is it that this space creates that at its core? It makes the lower people, it makes the people starting out think that they have to do that as well. And some of us might not fall into that trap, but we might get caught up in one thing and mention something here and mention something there. YouTubers have a responsibility to not carry that feud. The drama channels will do their drama channel thing, but we, the center of the conversation, yo, we could really just go meet up and settle this. You could really just call me on the phone. Like, we're YouTubers. That problem exists because you want it to exist. You know what I mean? It has to, because nothing should ever force such hands as what we've seen in response to the allegations from Colleen. I give it to a mental awakening Olenori. I said her name wrong. I said their name wrong. Oh God. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Natty had a conversation with iDubbbz. Great conversation. And I already saw people nitpicking and taking that out. And it's like, they're gonna do that anyway. They're gonna do that anyway. Our time is valuable and we can edit our way through it. People who can't edit them, however, live streamers, you can see how this becomes doubled. I don't know if, and now we're going back to the point I brought up in the beginning. So if you made it this far, I appreciate it, because that tells me that it's all gonna come together now. I feel like I am, maybe to my own detriment, hyper aware that every second of airtime that I get, every millisecond, every frame can be clipped out of context. AI could be put in and make me say some crazy shit. I am quite aware of the possibility of doing anything and everything to be taken negatively when commenting on certain situations. I could take my ass over and just play video games, but the video game motherfuckers ain't got the right idea either. If I go into that space, I have to either like make a stand. It's gonna become political one way or another, so I jump the shark, you know? Y'all know where I stand before I journey into some other place. I don't know why we don't have that as a standard amongst us. A lot of people are still popular. A lot of people are still like having massive view. Oh, I'm doing a subathon. I'm doing this and that. And it's like, bro, wasn't there like this thing that you just had an issue with that like you just were? And I feel like we don't value that airtime as much as we could because we're wrapped into the numbers. We're wrapped into, you know. Like I love when XQC and Hassan get into it. Like he tried to explain some shit to him. There's a whole that's two human beings I don't know. I'm not gonna comment on the that's whatever. But in my head, I always think like, damn, Hassan like has an entertainment factor to him because that group of people he's talking to are probably very young and aren't going to get concepts as well as they should. How could Hassan come across to possibly like court that audience into at least saying when Hassan's on the screen is valid? Who's valid? You see what I'm that. So maybe it's to my detriment. But I feel like our responsibility as live streamers becomes even more so because we can craft an experience. We can do more than we can, like, people play music on here. Sure, I'm not a musician. People write stories on here. Sure, I'm not a writer. Sure, some shit might be boring. Some shit might check out some viewers. But if you won't take, those people have to be there for you. Those people, I want you to understand that your community is not about enjoying your content when you are a live streamer. They have to be there for you. If they are there because they want to hear your shit take on something that's going on, they're not there for you. They're there to spread, to gain like, hell yeah, we can mention him. Chud Logic said this and then then boom boom bang bang. And it's like, to each their own. I'm never gonna yuck anybody's yum. But we can't sit here and say that this space can't be transformative and that it can't have impact when we're the people that these kids are listening to. Sad to say, like, not even to be funny, we the people that some older people are listening to. We the people some military vets are listening to. We know how influential Matt Walsh is just off of fucking talking shit in front of a camera. We can't pretend we don't got that responsibility. And I feel like if we approach these conversations with that responsibility, a lot of the shit that we say or we try to make a point of as ever touching amongst, like the Nick Merck situation. Nick ain't have to tweet that. Oh, everybody's trying to cancel me. They're trying to cancel me, bro. It's like, why ain't there somebody in his corner who's just like, yo, that's actually like low-key a dog whistle. Like, let me explain to you what that is. Don't freak out. You didn't do nothing wrong. They know how you mean it, but it's gonna get spun the other way because like, it sounds like you should have a larger enough community that you would understand why that's an issue. What is your community to you? Are you dealing with people or are you dealing with names on a list? Are you dealing with people who might be dirt poor and like the only enjoyment they get in a day is seeing you go live because they can't find anything on YouTube? They don't like the comment section. Their data's, I don't know, whatever. I don't know, whatever. I'm not saying you have to analyze every single person in your chat or every single subscriber you have. Too large, right? But there are creators that have made examples of being able to cultivate a community where they can call them out for behavior. Corey Kenshin, biggest name, the obvious date. Gaming forever. Yo, I need to talk about something. Didn't shock the audience. I play games, but I can be real. It's not hard to do that as a YouTuber, and it definitely can't be that hard as a live streamer. I know I'm doing it, and it seems to be pretty like it's doing kind of well. I mean, you're watching this, which means I'm doing something right. Yeah, so like maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just spitballing here. But I feel like content creators have that responsibility, and we are the effective gatekeepers of everyone else. I think about those channels that got 160 million subscribers. I don't know if that's possible, no, because I forgot what like T-Series, whatever. If everybody who had an account subscribed to one account, it would probably be like 500 million, whatever, right? We could mobilize people to find other content to diversify their portfolio as far as the recommended. It's books. Yo, I could show you some books to put in your library. I can show you some books to put in your library now. But instead of me sitting there reacting to them, hoping that some people will say, damn, the way that dude did it is pretty dope. I like the way he talked about this. I'm going to read it and come to my own conclusion. Maybe we have a way to push a new class. 2023 rising streamer. And it's like, some people don't want these accolades. Some people don't want the limelight. Some people think that the work they do and the growth they've seen is more than enough, and that's fine. Ain't nobody hating on that. It's not a criticism. Remember, this is the inner ping pong ball in my head, wondering how deep do you want to go down that rabbit hole of, yo, I'm gaining a sizable audience. Out of those people, there might be some trans people. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Hey, I noticed that I get a bump in views when I'm talking about other streamers. Maybe I shouldn't. That bump in viewers is cool. The chatting is cool. I'm even getting a little bit of money from it. But now every time I do something I care about, there's only 3 people in there. Oh, well, I guess I care about the drama now because that's getting me the money. And immediately you become that. You have no choice. You have to search it out. Your Twitter feeds will start recognizing it. Your YouTube feeds will start recognizing it. You'll be in other people's chats trying to start things just to have something to talk about. You don't care about anything? We can all just talk about what we care about. Nobody make us do anything. Nobody make us do anything. And that's the beauty of why I'm wondering why this space holds such negativity towards that reach towards creativity. Title of my stream is put your favorite streamer in the room with me and watch them fold. I just know how to talk. Not because I don't know how to talk, not because I'm able to be quick off the tongue with it, not because I'm media trained, not because I've been doing this for so many years, because I know what the other side of not having anyone to talk to is like. But so do you. Do you let that influence your actions? Are your fans, is your community aware of that? What is your community to you? I'm hyper aware of every single second on the clock because I know I don't get much more time than that. Curtains goes when I choose. If I say something out of line, it's time for me to address that right then and there. Ethan, I love Ethan to death. Ethan slipped up a few times. I never thought of that as a lengthy point in his character because he's shown growth. I can see somebody just being at the mouth. I don't need that person to be media trained. I don't need that. That person's not looking to be what this is. And that's why it's cool that Leftovers as a podcast exists. But we can get into that much later. What responsibility do you think you have? If it's none, if you're just here to do it and you just like the fact that people like to watch you, okay. If you're here because you think you have a responsibility to, let's say, provide a certain type of qualitative content based around what you feel, and you build on that, okay. Not everybody's gonna make it. This is not the point about, this is about the point of about those at the top. How are you creating that next class? What are we following in the footsteps of? Because by y'all's own admissions, it's not looking good. Because these issues keep popping up. These conversations don't have somebody in the corner that pulls them on their jacket and says, yo, 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 chill. Yo, 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 no, 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 just hold on, no, 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 chill. And if we don't have that, how long does this last? What stands after? Who gives a shit? But in the real world, that shit matter to some people who legislate and shit, quoting these motherfuckers. In the real world, my friends are quoting Matt Walsh, and I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm here as a resource for you, and you're not catching the message. I have a trans rights flag on my content every single day, and you still think it's okay for you to come towards me that way? We got a problem. You feel me? We got a problem. I'm trying to figure out the problem. And while I figure out the problem, I wonder why, I'm gonna sit here and listen to morons talk about it when, like, there are people who have this skill that I do. Shout out Hassan, reached out to FD. That was a cool conversation. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a literal example, but I didn't want to go into literal examples because then you have nothing else to say. If you feel that responsibility creeping up on you, if your name is starting to get mentioned, if you're starting to appear in certain places, just saying. Maybe you should think about just what it is you're doing here, and if you should keep doing it, or step aside. I'm the Paradigm Shift. I will see you in the motherfucking next one.